right, welcome to Community Shield, a program brought to you by the Houston Police Department. Thank you so much for joining us on this amazing Wednesday. Like every single program, we have prepared something very cool for you. Something, I picked these programs with the, subjects that I'm not too strong with, things that I'm not really good at. And of course, I bring the experts in to be able to talk about these subjects. I bring the superstars that come out on TV, on all the news channels, on the radio stations, the ones that are actually making things happen, the movers and shakers, and we break them into this program. And of course, the one that benefits is you, the community, you that is watching Community Shield. And of course, everyone that shares the program, we thank you so much. We also want to thank our partners, Now Media from Now Media Television Group, and of course, our friends from Heraldo Media Group for allowing this program to be broadcasted on their different radio stations and TV stations in the country. And of course, Roku, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, all of that good stuff that I'm not too good at. Again, thank you for allowing us to broadcast this program on those platforms. And of course, on the Houston Police Department platform, we run this program every single Wednesday. So again, thank you for joining us. And, today we're going to be discussing a unit that works very closely with the Houston Police Department. And it's also at the 911 call center. And they're always listening into what's going on these 911 phone calls in regards to mental illness, mental health. And they become an amazing resource for the Houston Police Department, diverting a lot of our 911 patrol calls to these ladies, these men that are working out there representing MCOT. And of course, we're going to dive into what MCOT means. It sounds pretty cool, actually. So let's move on with the program, and let's welcome our guest. She is one of the movers and shakers of MCOT and is representing the Harris County, the Harris Center. And she's here with us. Her name is Sarah Strang. Sarah, how are you doing? Welcome to Community Shield.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's really a privilege and an honor to be invited. I work for the Harris Center for Mental Health and IDD. That is the local mental health authority that serves Harris County. We are a very large local mental health authority. We have about 2,400 employees, several different programs, all from ages 0 to 100. We have from early childhood development programs. We have IDD programs. So the IDD is the new term for mental retardation. It's intellectual developmental disability. We also have 4 clinics for individuals to go for adult and children's services for mental health. We also have a crisis division, which I'm part of, and we also are in the Harris County Jail. Okay. So all of these different programs all over the county we serve, and I am the director of the Mobile Crisis Outreach Team, or MCOT, MCOT for short.
MCOT, see, sounds really cool. It sounds like some sort of some investigative, some FBI, some federal something going on. MCOT. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, so MCOT
Sorry,
is, it's been around since 2003, believe it or not, and every county is assigned to a local mental health authority, and every county actually has an MCOT. We probably have the largest MCOT because we have one of the largest counties in Texas.
And the best one? Yeah.
Our MCOT team is comprised of about 30 clinicians. We have psych techs, we have peer services, which we'll hear about later. We also have a psychiatrist and a nurse. So that is, and then we have actually expanded to what you were talking about earlier with the City of Houston in the 911 call center, where we have some crisis counselors there who will refer us to any of the mental health calls. And that program is called MCOT Rapid Response because we're responding rapidly to these 911 calls in the City of Houston. The MCOT team, the regular MCOT team, responds to calls that are coming in from our crisis line, the Harris Center's crisis line, and then we're routed to those calls. So MCOT can respond to calls where people are having a mental health emergency. That may mean that somebody is suicidal, but wanting help. Maybe even has a plan, but has called the crisis line to say, I need some help. I'd like to talk with somebody. And then they talk with them about sending out one of our teams. We go in like a white Nissan Rogue out to the house, doesn't say mental health or anything across it. The only way you would even know it was different, like an agency type vehicle, is there's a yellow sticker on the back that says, "How's my driving?"
Okay.
That's it.
And that's where I want to dive into that. I want to dive into the differences between the crisis call center and the services that you guys work hand in hand with the Houston Police Department. But before that, you guys have a passion to help people reach their fullest in life.
Absolutely.
How does this happen?
So we look at the whole individual.
Sure.
There's always different circumstances of what caused that person to be in a crisis,
Sure.
right? And so we're looking at, whether it's, just mental health issues, but it also may be that they're having trouble with finances and maybe don't have clothing or food or even shelter. And so we really try and look at that whole individual. Sometimes even somebody doesn't necessarily need to have a mental health diagnosis, but they're to be in a crisis situation.
And that's one of the hardest parts. I've had a personal experience with friends that are falling into, they have to show signs of some sort of deterioration of the mind, and they're acting very different, and they're saying things that never said before, and they're acting in ways that they've never said before. And the first call that I get from family members, "Hey, my loved one is going through this. It's been about 30 days that I've been seeing these changes happening in them, but I've visited the mental health facility. They said there's no record on my son. There is nothing going on with my loved one, and there is really nothing that they can do. There's no police reports. The person's not hurting themselves. They're not a danger to themselves or to others." So they go through this stuff, but they say, "I know they are deteriorating. It's happening quick, and I see it every day, and I don't know what to do." And at that point, that's when I'm like, well, I mean, you're right. You don't have any of those other signs. What do we do? And this is the point when I reach out to MCOT, and I start digging more into MCOT and realizing that you guys are there as a resource. So explain to me again, like, for example, the people that are beginning with these mental health conditions and they have not been diagnosed.
Sure.
So how do we help them?
Yeah, so anybody in the community can call the crisis line number.
Sure.
And that number is 713-970-7000, and you press option number 1. And that's going to connect you to a crisis line counselor who's going to listen and take the information down of what you're concerned about for your loved one, maybe even yourself. It could even be, we have third-party callers where it's like a subway manager, somebody at a gas station, they're concerned about somebody. And so they can call our crisis line, and as long as that person is not currently being violent, where it would be a risk for us to go, because we just go, just like I'm dressed today, with another clinician to the home, under a bridge, at a shelter, a school, wherever that person may be, and we're assessing for what's going on. So once we get that referral from the crisis line, we're kind of heading out to see how we can help. We have 2 different response times. We have urgent, where somebody is maybe suicidal with a plan but can wait until we get there to get the help that they might need. We also have what we call crisis prevention, so we're seeing that person within 24 hours or less. Also, the calls that come to us, if for veterans, we have Harris County has the second highest veteran population after Los Angeles County.
Sure.
And so any of the veterans that go over to the VA that are ineligible for services at the VA, maybe due to a dishonorable discharge, they automatically send that referral onto our crisis line, and then our mobile crisis team goes out to meet with that veteran.
Wow.
So what we're going to do is, once we get that referral, we're going to call that person, we're going to try and schedule a time to come out, or if they don't answer, we may go and knock on the door and leave one of our brochures to let them know we're here to help, we would like to talk with you. Our goal is to keep that person in the least restrictive environment possible. So if we can have them safety plan, and we can talk with them and do an assessment and feel like they're going to be safe in their home, they have supportive family members that will watch them, then we don't have to take them to a psychiatric hospital. If they cannot safety plan and really truly need to be at a psychiatric hospital for safety, then we will talk with them about how we would like to take them there and help them get admitted. And that is the one requirement, is we are voluntary. We will, we can't force somebody into our vehicle. If we really feel that they need that service and their family member feels they need it and they meet criteria for an emergency detention order, then we will call the police. Hopefully we'll get a crisis intervention response team to come meet us out there and help that person get to the hospital so that they can get the help that they need. Once they go to the hospital, we do keep that case open for post-hospitalization follow-up, because we know that when somebody leaves the hospital, that's a real critical time for them, and they, if they're not set up with a clinician or a psychiatrist right after hospitalization, that's a time where they could be at risk for suicide.
And this is why it's so important when we start seeing these signs of our loved ones, family members, that we get involved when we call this crisis hotline, so that we can immediately start the process of getting them the help that they need. That way, you don't have to wait until police have to be called out there and there's some restraining or some force has to be used to be able to get this person to stop doing what they're doing, right? So again, now the services, the Harris Center. How far do you guys go? I know you mentioned countywide?
We are countywide, so the mobile crisis team, as long as you've got 1 foot in the county, we will go out to you, wherever that may be. It doesn't matter. And then with youth, so the youngest we probably had a referral for is a 3-year-old, the oldest probably in their 90s. And so sometimes the youth, the school counselors are calling us because the child has expressed that they want to hurt themselves, hurt somebody else, or are doing self-harming behavior where they're cutting on themselves or something like that. The parent does have to be present if it's a minor, but we will, sometimes the school will have that minor come, or the parent come to meet the minor, and we'll meet them out there to do the assessment. Have
you had 8-year-old, 9-year-olds that are threatened against their lives?
Yes.
Do you what are the circumstances that they begin to do this? Is it a lot of stress? Is it
that
just a
maybe
tantrum?
Bullying, a lot of social media bullying. It's been stressful during COVID. A lot of there's been an increase in domestic violence and divorces and finances, and the children are affected by that.
Sure.
And so we have noticed that, and we are able to talk with the family and encourage them to seek help. With our team, we have a nurse too, that he'll go out once we've done an assessment, and he'll do a nursing assessment. He will do some other things, checking for vitals, double checking that their medical, their physical health is taken care of, for example. And then if that's the case, then we can also refer to our psychiatrist, and she can start somebody on medication, and then we'll monitor that, and we can get all of that done in a matter of 3 or 4 days.
Are there a couple of signs that we need to look for to distinguish this is a serious threat from this child, this is something that can really happen or not? Let's talk about that. We'll be right back here in Community Shield with the Houston Police Department. Share the program. This is the moment to hit the button, hit share. Share it now.
Good afternoon. My name is Sam Peña. I'm the fire chief for the city of Houston. I just want to remind everyone, as the summer kicks in and we look for ways to cool off from this heat, and we take our kids to the pools, that there are some safety considerations for you to keep in mind. It doesn't take much for a tragedy to occur. The drownings are quick and deadly. In 20 to 30 seconds, a tragedy can strike. So please be cautious of that. Be mindful that we need to keep an eye on our kids, whether it's in a pool, whether it's in a bathtub, in a sink. Tragedy can strike at any moment. So again, we want to have a nice, relaxing, and enjoyable summer, but also a safe summer. In addition to that, the number of fires has gone up. With this drought, with this lack of rain, we're seeing a number of fires, especially in the homes. And we want to remind you that the Houston Fire Department has a smoke detector program. The smoke detector provides early warning, and it helps in alerting people that there is danger, that there is something going on in the house, and so they can make an escape. So I want to remind you that if you need a smoke detector, that you can call the Houston Fire Department at 832-394-6633, or go to our website and request a smoke detector. Our firefighters will schedule something to go out and install one of these to you. So have a safe summer.
discussing here with our friends from MCOT, the Harris Center. We have our friend Sarah Strang, and we're going to be expanding more into the mental health issues that the Harris Center has for the entire Harris County community. And of course, as our guest has mentioned, the counties that are surrounding Harris County also have programs that are similar to what the awesomeness of the Harris Center has, right?
Right.
Who knows? They might try to be imitating the greatness, but anyways, just kidding. All right, so we were talking about kids. We're talking about the threat, the child saying, I'm going to hurt myself, I want to die. Are there certain things that parents need to be looking for when they say something like this? How serious do they take? Do they tell them, be quiet, don't say that again? I don't want to hear you saying that? Or should they tackle the situation?
I think it's really important to listen to a child or a teenager. If they're saying that, you want to take it seriously. But it doesn't have to wait until that time. You know, there's a lot of stress for the, young children these days. I mean, even with all of these, you know, school shootings and things like that, you never know what's really going on in their mind unless you talk to them. And so I encourage parents not to be afraid to ask those questions, not to be afraid to say, how are you feeling today? You know, have you ever felt really depressed? Or if you see changes in your child that just, you know, where they're withdrawing more, they're not talking to you as much, maybe they're not doing the activities that they used to do, they're not finding the enjoyment that you notice. If you notice any of those changes, I always say, you know, I would rather you err on the side of caution and call the crisis line and just discuss that with somebody. It may be that child even would like to just talk to somebody themselves over the phone, and that's okay. You know, it doesn't necessarily always mean that the mobile crisis team has to come out or the police have to come out. There are any of the adults or children can walk into any of our clinics. Just look at the Harris Center's website and you can get the information and addresses for the adult clinics where you can do a walk-in. Also, the Neuropsychiatric Center next to Ben Taub is anybody can walk in there for voluntary hospitalization if they need to. So there's many ways of getting connected. We're also have co-location programs in some of the school districts in Harris County. And so you may see somebody that has a Harris Center shirt walking in the schools, and so we're there to do assessments and figure out what services they need. Once they've accepted services and we've opened their case up, we are going to then provide, for mobile crisis team, we're going to provide at least 2 visits in wherever they are a week. Trying to get them connected to services. We know, like I said, we may connect them to, you know, provide some case management services where we're connecting them to clothing, maybe helping them with getting food stamp application completed, Medicaid, Medicare, whatever it is that's going to help them get out of that crisis. You know, we know that if someone is not eating or doesn't have clothing, it's hard to focus on a therapist.
That's right.
So we have to take care of somebody's basic needs first.
When you have issues with your residence or home, you don't have a home, you're homeless. Treatment, you guys link them to and refer them to different organizations. How important is it for collaboration? The Harris Center, the Houston Police Department, you know, that's something that that our chief and our mayor is always working on, part of the One Safe plan, which is collaboration with other agencies. We can't solve everything ourselves. We need everybody to kind of come together and share information. Back in the day, it wasn't like that. People weren't sharing information. They weren't talking to each other. It was all me, mine. I can take care of it and take all the glory. But this, how important is collaboration with all the nonprofits that you guys work with?
It's so important because we want to be aware of all the different resources in our community so that if somebody has a specific need, we can give them the best resource that they might need for that. For example, I mean, we collaborate with so many providers, and any new ones that pop up, well, you know, my staff will even go and be like, oh, this one is new, you know, I would love to see if we can collaborate with them. With Houston Police Department, when we are responding to calls and we maybe need the police to help us, or the police maybe need us, you know, maybe you've cleared a scene for safety and, you know, that person didn't meet criteria for a hospitalization, but they would benefit from maybe some mental health services because of depression, anxiety, maybe some hearing some voices, but not really something that would require hospitalization. They're not a threat to themselves or others at that point, but they could benefit, and you know, we could maybe prevent them from having to be hospitalized.
So I see you guys obviously offer the crisis intervention, psychiatric assessments, brief therapies. You guys also have nutrition education. Nutrition, how does that play into the mental health
Well,
side?
I mean, you've got to take care of your physical health. You know, we encourage, you know,
Can
we
you just
talk
eat
about,
Takis all the time?
Yeah.
Can you depend on just Takis?
No, and
Or
also
Doritos?
some of these medications can cause increased weight gain. You know, if you're working out and you're eating healthier, you're going to feel better.
Yeah.
And you know, we also know that exercise helps increase, you know, your feelings of feeling better
Sure.
about yourself, right?
Yeah.
And it can help decrease some of those depressive symptoms.
Sure. Substance abuse assessments. You guys also
We do that, yeah. We will assess for, you know, what their needs are in regards to treatment. We have some programs within the Harris Center that we can refer them to for specialized treatment with a licensed chemical dependency counselor, and we will really work with them on how, you know, if they need to get into inpatient treatment, then we'll work on helping them with that.
Intensive case management. You guys have medication management to include initiation, restart, or adjustment. That's one of the biggest things. I've seen people go through the medication process and they say, this is not working for me. It's not working. It's too much. You guys help them assess that
we do.
and connect them with
We encourage them. You know, our psychiatrists will not start somebody on medication unless she really feels it's necessary. We'll talk with them about why she feels that it's important. But they have an ability to talk with our therapist and our nurse about how they're feeling with that medication. And then that collaboration goes right to the psychiatrist.
Sure.
And she will even, you know, sometimes even call or talk with that individual or say, you know, bring them in today, I'd like to see them.
So who's eligible for all these services?
So anybody and everybody. You can have insurance, you don't have to have insurance, you can be undocumented. It doesn't matter, we don't turn anybody away. And we will, with us, if you have no income, the services are going to be free. If you do have an income, it's based on a sliding scale fee. And so we collect some financial documents to prove what you are making.
Sure.
And then it's taken care of. But you know, I tell people it's called a monthly ability to pay.
Sure.
And it may be like, let's say $40 if you don't have insurance. Maybe let's say your monthly ability to pay after you calculate your income is, let's say, $40. Well, that $40 is $40 a month for the cost of seeing the doctor, the therapist, and the cost of medication.
Wow, okay.
And that's
great.
pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, of course, it can increase based on your income level, but I think that for the services that you're being provided, for the cost of that sliding scale, you're getting a lot.
It's a great package for the quality and the plethora of just help that you guys can give right to them. Okay, so the mission is pretty well established. You guys are all out to help out people that are going through mental issues and are also going through some other disabilities. What do you guys provide for people that have other disabilities or other conditions?
Sure. The Harris Center really provides services for anybody and everybody that may have, like I had said earlier, intellectual developmental disability, early childhood interventions. There's a feeding clinic for those young kids who will maybe only eat one or two foods groups. They have some therapists that can work with them on that. There are any of the programs like within juvenile justice.
Sure.
You know, sometimes the youth are arrested for a family violence charge. And if it's a misdemeanor, then we will most likely get that referral sent over to MCOT.
Sure.
And we'll collaborate with the DA's office, Harris County Juvenile Probation Department, and help assess that individual and recommend treatment options.
Sure.
So then we're working kind of with the whole family, right? And then we can refer them on to different programs within the Harris Center that are more intensive that will help them. So we're really looking at what is the best fit for that individual, what's the family able to do and willing to do, and then, you know, we'll encourage them to follow through with that.
Sure, and one of the things is that long term is big time in mental health.
Yeah.
When we get called 911 crisis, something goes on out there and police get called, you're going to get the police service. You're going to get us to go out there and stop whatever situation there is. If there is somebody that's trying to hurt themselves, or harm others. But the question is, what happens after that, right? And this is where Harris Health comes in. This is where the services of MCOT come in. This is where these crisis hotlines come in. They don't just provide a one service and that's it. They will follow up with you if that's what you want, if that's what you have giving them access to, right? How important is this long-term relationship that you guys have with the patients and families?
It's so important. You know, we are looking at connecting them to the best fit for them. So even though MCOT is kind of a temporary program, our goal is to link them to long-term services in the community. You mentioned Harris Health. So that's another place where we may refer them to. We can help somebody get a gold card and get connected to medical. A lot of the individuals that we see who have mental health issues have also not had a physical in many years. So we want to connect them with a doctor who can look at their physical health. And so the Harris Center is always really looking at where can we connect somebody long-term that's going to fit for them, because also, you know, transportation is one of the biggest barriers for people, and people aren't always familiar with the bus system, or maybe the bus system doesn't even go to them. So when we're looking at linking somebody, it may not be to one of our Harris Center clinics, it may be to Harris Health, it may be to a private provider, it may be to Legacy, anything in the community that's going to be helpful. We want to make sure that if wherever we're linking them, after 30 days or 60 days with us, that they're going to be able to get there. So we even have our peers who've helped them with like learning the buses and riding the bus system with them to figure out where the best clinic is for them to be able to go if they don't have transportation. We may talk to them about connecting with a family member who, if they can schedule the appointments, know that they could get there with that family member.
That is awesome, guys. This is an awesome resource that we have. The Harris Center working closely with the Houston Police Department and then offering this crisis hotline. This number you must write. It's 713-970-7000. 713-970-7000. That is the line to have if there is a crisis going on. If you see a family member that's beginning to show signs of mental illness, some signs, you know them better than anybody. So this is the phone number you can call so they can start the process. So there is some sort of evaluation, a clinician, somebody is going to visit your house from the Harris Center. Don't wait until it's an emergency, until things have already gone bad and now you need police immediately to intervene. Of course, we're going to be there. But again, call this number when there is some questions about a loved one that's going through a situation with mental health issues. 713-970-7000. 713-970-7000. As we continue with the program of Community Shield, stick around. We're going to check out this video as we prepare for National Night Out. It's just around the corner, October the 4th. This year of 2020, October 4th, we're going to do National Night Out. Attention, my civic club members, my community leaders. October the 4th is a Tuesday. We're going to be celebrating National Night Out from 6 to 9 o'clock. So again, if you visit our PIPs with the Houston Police Department, let your community service officer know that your community is interested in celebrating National Night Out on October the 4th. On October 3rd, we're going to be hosting a big press conference with Harris County Sheriff's Office and the Houston Police Department. So again, prepare for this. Let us know so that we can visit your party, your location for National Night Out. If you don't know what this is all about, check this out. There is a video that we have prepared for you to see what National Night Out is all about. Now, we're coming back with the program. We're going to have our friend Ariana Mellinger. She does work with peer services for MCOT. She's the one that goes out there to the streets with as a clinician and serves the community whenever they respond. So check it out. She also has information that has to do with teenagers, right? And what they go through. So stick around for that. This is Community Shield of the Houston Police Department. You have one job right now. Share the program. Share it. We'll be right back.
I, Sylvester Turner, Mayor of the City of Houston, hereby proudly proclaim October 5, 2021 as the 38th Annual Houston Harris County National Night Out in the City of Houston.
Welcome to our National Night Out. We're so happy to see so many faces, friends that we've missed over the last 18 months.
It's just good to see people out, get a chance to get to know your neighbors, know who's next door, across the street, and then we just need to bond together even more so now than ever before.
Who'd you bring?
I think it's a really important event for HPD to be here in the community, letting the community know that it's being protected and they're keeping the neighborhood safe.
Thank you.
Very
Thank
much.
you. Enjoy.
Best cakes in town.
Life changing good.
Can I take a picture of the two of you? Thank you. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
I think it builds trust, really, and that people understand what we're all dealing with when it comes to crime in our communities. But I really think at the heart of it, it builds trust.
It's all about us coming together, taking care of one another, loving one another, and working through whatever we have in this city. So thank y'all so much for what y'all do for our city. Thank you.
So excited. Obviously it's National Night Out. We've gathered the Water's Edge community. So if you take a look around, you can see kids and neighbors getting to know each other. When you know your neighbors, you know when something's going on that shouldn't be. You know if there's something suspicious, and you call them and let them know. And you really look out for each other. Developing relationships with the police is also important. It really brings the community together and helps eliminate crime and things that shouldn't be happening in your neighborhood.
You said thank you, Mommy? Oh, you want both? Okay. They're both yours. You said thank you. Have a high five? All right.
Thank you. We literally started planning this 3 weeks ago, and we had just a team of people that come together that called the food trucks, that called the schools, that called the local vendors, and just came together.
Oh, nice. Yeah, there you go.
National Night Out in Gulfton is every year. Of course, last year we didn't have it because of the pandemic. Every year it seems to grow because now they're getting to know that Gulfton is a place to be.
I'm here, man. How you been? Good to see you, man. Y'all ready? Come on.
Gulfton is basically built up nothing but apartments. We have close to 70,000 residents in 3.4 miles.
This is where I started cutting my teeth, and a lot of people don't realize that.
We have had so many people, we had to turn some away because of the venue. We don't have enough space.
I was born and raised around this area, so I've seen these people do this almost every year. They do it for the community. You know, it shows appreciation to everybody out here. Everybody's out there giving back, man. It's a beautiful thing to watch, you know? Watch people help us. We're not alone out here.
Our officers are awesome. They interact with them. The kids love them. They are actually housed on Southwest Freeway between Hillcrop and Westport. They interchange with them. They communicate with them. It's unbelievable. We back the blue. So what better way to do that is to show our encouragement with them.
All righty, here we go. Hey, y'all. How you doing? What's up, bro? How you doing today? How are you? How you doing?
Nice to meet you. Thank you for protecting us every day.
Thank you. Thanks for being out here, okay?
Thank you.
We wasn't able to have National Night Out last year. We're here. You got police officers, community members, just all out here in love.
Another sticker? What do you say?
And would you like one too?
Say thank you.
You're welcome.
Families out here, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Anytime that you can come together, sharing information, getting to know your neighbor better, and building a stronger relationship with the citizens and police, it's just a better thing. How y'all doing? Good.
National Night Out is really important. You know, unfortunately, it's only one time a year. I wish we could do it more often because it's really a good thing for everybody. I finally got the chance to work at South Gessner. I grew up down the street in Glenshire, so it's really special to be able to come back and be in this community again.
We are working for you. We're going to continue working for you, and I can't tell you how much it fills me with joy to be here with each and every one of you. So let's continue enjoying the evening.
John Walton, come on up your pride.
Here in the North Houston District, this is our 4th year doing this. We had a year where we missed COVID, had gotten pretty good at it for the first 3 or 4 years. This one was a little bit harder to get ramped back up, but we start planning this 6 months out, trying to make sure our partners are involved.
How y'all doing?
And everybody's ready to go.
To serve the residents of District B, Greens Point.
And it turns out to be a great night.
Commander Spear is a great man, a great leader. All this team out here in North Belt, I'm just proud of y'all, so thank you, okay?
All right. Here. Look at the camera.
HPD's been fantastic with us from the chief on down. There's a huge contingent of officers who are out from North Belt and other divisions around the area.
I took pictures with all of them because I felt protected, obviously.
And the community loves seeing it. They love interacting with them. They love getting to know them.
How you doing, bro?
All right, you're watching Community Shield of the Houston Police Department. Thank you so much for being here with us on this amazing morning as we continue to host our friends from MCOT, the Harris Center. These are our friends that go out there and respond to some of the 911 calls where it has to do with mental health. And of course, they are the ones that are also working those phone lines from the crisis hotline that they got going on at 713-970-7000. 713-970-7000. As we continue with the program, we have our superstar here, Ariana Mellinger. She is a public speaker. She goes out there and she talks to all kinds of people. Well, you know what? I'm talking too much here. Tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in this in the Harris Center and MCOT and all this good stuff.
Of course. So thank you for having me. First, I'm honored and privileged to be able to be here and kind of share what I do today. So I am a youth and adult peer support specialist. How I got into it is because I have a lived diagnosis and having a mental health disorder, substance abuse, and also being justice involved as well. So what that means for me is I experienced some trauma whenever I was 14. And after experiencing that, I quickly got into substance use. I quickly started drinking alcohol and to kind of medicate some of those things I was feeling and the emptiness that the trauma had felt. So after that, I've attempted rehab. I had crashed a few cars. My substance use and my alcohol use disorder got really out of control. It took me having criminal justice involvement to change the trajectory of my life. So after having that trajectory, I said, you know, I have to do something different. I have to figure out what I can do, and I found out about peer support. So what peer support is using your lived experience. It's not having formal education. Your lived experience is your education. So you get to connect with individuals based off of the knowledge you've learned from having those things happen to you. So it's a good, what I like to call it as a bridge between the peer and the clinician, that we can really use that lived experience to help connect with youth and also adults to figure out what's best for them and really hear them and understand what they want instead of somebody telling them, oh, these are the things that you should do. So we collaborate. So we collaborate with community partners. We collaborate with the clinician. We collaborate with the psychiatrist to really work on those mental health concerns, substance abuse concerns, or whatever that might be that they need help with. So also what peer support is somebody who has a GED or a high school diploma. After having that high school diploma, they can then get certified in peer support and then start working. So I was able to get my peer support certification in 2019 through a Via Hope program.
Wow. Now, most of us are going to say, my kids, my 13, my 14-year-old, my 11-year-old, nah, they're not gonna get into any type of problems. They're not gonna get into type of alcohol. We don't talk about that at home. I don't do that. I stay away from all that. So nah. it's not us that are going to live this. What do we say to parents that live in that type of bubble, think that it's not going to happen to me?
It can happen to anybody. Anybody of any socioeconomic background, anybody of kind of cultural differences. It can happen to anybody and everybody. And so just recognizing the signs, like I think Sarah had talked about earlier, knowing, kind of being able to hear your child and hear what they're going through. Because sometimes things happen outside of our home and we don't realize what's going on in the school, we don't realize what's going on in their community, and then they come home and they start acting a little different. And if you start to notice those changes, just really reach out to somebody.
You mentioned 14, I kind of keyed into that. 14, when this whole thing begins, how good or how different was life before 14, and then the triggers that took you into the next phase of your life?
I had a rough childhood. I grew up not knowing my father. My mother was in active addiction, and so life wasn't perfect, but it was good. So my grandparents raised me. They gave me everything that I could have, but it was my reactions to those things that had happened to me that really triggered that substance use and alcohol use.
There is help out there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
there's hope.
There's hope, yeah, for sure.
We're seeing this picture, and I'm sure you use this picture as in some of the workshops, and deputies have seen this picture, and you. What's the reaction when you say, "Do you know who this person is on this photo?"
So it's a very interesting reaction whenever they see the photo, because it's such a far difference. It's usually shock, it's awe. A lot of officers have been very kind, and they've just said, hey, congratulations, that they've known people go through it as well. And it gives them hope to see that recovery is possible.
And I think that too, that's so important that she shares, because officers have a hard job and they don't always know if they're making the difference. Mm-hmm. And Ariana shares about how some of the officers really helped her and were the ones who told her when she was incarcerated that, there's more for you out there. And I think that, it's important for officers to know that even if you are making an arrest or you are having to get involved, to have that kindness and to know that you are making a difference in your community, because that really helped her.
Yeah. Now going into the services that she provides, the vital services that she works on the streets, there is a relationship that the Harris Center took onus, and they said, we want to work with the Houston Police Department. We want to be out there in their 911 call center, and we're going to be listening to these phone calls, and wherever we can interject, we're going to go. We're going to divert some of these calls and bring our clinicians out there. Tell me a little bit about that relationship. Sure. And how that whole thing just boom flourished.
So that started as a pilot,
Sure.
and then you mentioned One Safe Houston.
Sure.
We have what we call MCOT Rapid Response.
Sure.
And so in the Houston Emergency 911 call center, we have a couple of what they call crisis call diversion clinician or counselors, and they are pulling those calls that are mental health related and making sure they're safe for us to go out on. But then we're going. I have 20 teams. 20 teams. They're composed of a bachelor level clinician
Sure.
and a master or licensed clinician that ride out on a call. They're getting that call from 911. Usually somebody's calling in for police, fire, or EMS. And we're kind of that fourth response. We want to make sure that if it's a mental health call and it's appropriate for us to go out, meaning that the person is not currently violent, they're not so intoxicated that they can't consent for services, then we're going to go. So a lot of people in our community don't realize that the regular MCOT exists, and so they're calling 911 and they're thinking they're going to get a police response or maybe EMS or fire department, and really we come, and so it's a little bit more a kinder response sometimes.
What's the reaction when you guys get out there?
Sometimes it's surprise.
Okay.
I think that people really appreciate it, and they don't realize that it exists. We want to also allow the police and the fire department to do what they need to do to protect the county and the city, and we want to make sure that then if we can help and we can provide maybe, you know, if we need to take somebody to the hospital and they're willing to go with us, they don't have to be handcuffed in the back of a police car. They ride in the back of our vehicle. We require they put their seatbelt on, and that's it. And we're going to take them to the hospital, and then we're going to follow up with them. If they don't need to be hospitalized, then we're going to work with them and help them get linked to the right mental health providers. And sometimes it's even the same day. You know, we can help get somebody in right away, or provide them with, you know, a number to call where they can get a therapist or whatever it is that they're needing.
There it is. You know, and this was part of my own confusion, learning what the crisis hotline was all about, and then learning about what the MCOT response in our 911 call center was all about. I thought it was all in the same, but it wasn't. Again, the crisis hotline is a different line, totally different line. It's 713-970-7000. 713-970-7000.
We encourage you to put that in your phone, and you know, put it as a crisis line, and you're going to call that, and you're also going to then hit option 1 for crisis line, and that way then you have it when you need it. You never know when you're going to need it. You never know when you're even on the street or in a restaurant and you see somebody that needs some help. You can call that number, and somebody can help.
And a ton of resources are going to be put at your disposition. And it's not just, oh, we're going to give you a list, throw you a list of resources. No, they actually have clinicians and people that are going to follow up with you if that's what you want, and they can help you connect with these resources. So this is amazing. Now tell me, what happens when you get out there, when you go and you respond to these calls?
So for me, it might look a little different responding to the calls. I don't have the privilege to go on the 911 calls yet, unless I'm on call.
Sure.
So that I haven't experienced yet, but I have experienced the traditional crisis line calls, and going out there and getting to use my lived experience to connect with the person is very different, and it looks unique. I get the privilege to collaborate with a clinician, and the clinician to really help establish that rapport very quickly, and then link them to whatever services those are, whether it be helping them understand what it means to go to the hospital, what it means to what are the next steps, really.
Sure. And, you know, a lot of people that are going through this situation, especially with their teenagers that are become rebellious, or they're going into the addictions and all of that, when you have someone that has no experience in the life and has never faced any consequences, it's very different to listen to somebody that has no idea what really and truly is going on. And you get to offer that side of the story. You get to say, hey, hold on a second. I came from that life. I have the experience. Look, honey, listen to this. So how do you approach? How do you talk to these families and adults and sometimes the kids themselves? What's their reaction?
Their reaction is a lot of shock, usually. Seeing me as somebody today as a professional, they sometimes can't see it. So it's really showing them by jargon. It's showing them that I really do understand, and some of their lingo and things like that. I guess one of the best examples as far as substance use goes is sometimes people don't know about dabs. People don't know about other jargon that the teenagers are using now, especially vapes and things like that. So whenever you can say, well, what are you using? Are you using vapes? Are you using dabs? What's the form? Then the teenager goes, oh, okay, she really does understand. And
you know the lingo, you know
that
the words.
Can connect.
What are some of those words that you use out there for some of those drugs? I don't even know them all. I hear some weird names, and I'm like, I don't know what that is.
So, I mean, of course, there's the K2, the marijuana is so different nowadays that some are edibles, some are, like I mentioned earlier, dabs, some are butter. There's all kinds of different words for those things.
My goodness.
What is dabs?
Dabs are a higher level of THC that is used that's not. So traditional marijuana, like that comes from the plant, people will call it flower. And so whenever they're referencing that, they're usually smoking it via bongs, smoking it via blunts, something like that, but it's a different form of using THC.
Wow. And now, again, you go out there, you do presentations for families, kids, groups, community centers?
Yes, I do. So I'm assist trained. I have just different backgrounds that I can go out into the community. I do a lot of presentations to the CIT Academy for Houston County Sheriff's Office, and just educating people on those things that we do experience and how to get connected to services.
Stigmas. How are we battling stigmas? People are still afraid to call for help for their mental health, a loved one, somebody that's going through a crisis. How are we battling these things? Are we going out there and doing outreach?
Yeah, so to break the stigma is the most important part of it, is that not always do you require hospitalization. So some people think they'll call themselves as crazy or something like that. And just really helping educate them as that they're not that they're just somebody who's being faced with a mental health challenge. And so really facing it as a challenge and changing those words is a big deal.
Over 90 languages that we are currently serving there?
Yeah, I think even more than that. We have Spanish-speaking therapists. We also can use our language line, and so we can serve anybody in every language that is here in Harris County or Houston.
Now tell me about your team, about the team you guys have built. You said there's a bunch of teams out there you got going on.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about them.
So we have crisis teams that are available 24/7, 365.
So it's not 8 to 5.
All the holidays, no.
Saturday, Sunday off?
No.
No Saturday, Sunday?
No days
you
off.
You are cruel. Okay.
We work 24/7. I mean, it's alternating schedules.
Sure.
So people are not working, 24/7
I
literally.
Mental health takes a weekend off.
We don't take the weekend off. We're here just like the 911 dispatch. We're available. If there's a call coming in, we're gonna go. And so we have trained clinicians. We have master level, bachelor level, fully licensed, all ready and willing to help.
From all kinds of backgrounds?
All kinds of backgrounds. And like I said, from time to time, our peers may go out on a call, or we'll follow up with that family or individual afterwards. We're all about, and we also try and make sure, like if it's a woman that has had some trauma, we make sure that maybe if we can provide, a female clinician to work with. Or if somebody has a specific, sometimes like a preference for like black male to come out and be the clinician. If that's possible, we're going to try and do that. It's not always possible on a crisis call, but then we can kind of assign that individual or make recommendations for somebody that they would feel more comfortable with working with.
Sarah and Ariana, how far have we gone in how we used to look at mental health and how we responded? We saw mental health as being an issue, but we never saw it as being such an issue as it is now. We've gone through COVID, we've gone through so much, and now it seems like there is more awareness going on. How have we responded, and have you seen the impact of our response?
I contribute a lot of that to the younger generation. The younger generation puts it on TikTok, they put it on Instagram, and they really educate people about that. I've worked with youth that have gone through stuff, and then they advocate on social media about that. And that's really beautiful to see, is that individuals are then using their lived experience and getting to teach others that, hey, there are other people out there. So as we continue to grow generational, I believe it's just through sharing with stories and letting other people know that we tend to all know somebody who's gone through it.
And a lot of our criminal justice system is full of people that need the mental health, and it's good that we are now actually being more aggressive on how we help people with mental health situations.
Right. I think it's out there more. It's definitely something people are more aware of and talk about. There's still a stigma. Especially in different communities, especially in the Hispanic community, Asian community, but we're working to try and, put out there that anybody can get the help that they need. And, don't be afraid to ask your child. Asking if they've thought of suicide or wanting to hurt themselves is not going to cause them to then go do it. And a lot of people are afraid that asking that question may then cause that person to go and try and attempt suicide. Don't be afraid of those questions, but also be able to then connect them with somebody that needs, can provide that help, because it's a lot to take on.
How is the word hope synonymous to the Harris Center and the work you guys are doing?
The word hope?
The word hope.
Hope.
For me, the word hope is incorporated in all our values that we use. We collaboration through compassion. That's all hope that you can too one day recover.
Wow, it's amazing. You guys are doing a lot of work out there. Anything else you guys would like to add to the program? I want to again reiterate that crisis hotline number, 713-970-7000, 713-970-7000. 713-970-7000. That's the crisis hotline. If you see anything that's being triggered at home in regards to mental health, or you've got a disability, you have a question, call this line, and they'll provide you with the resources. Not only provide it to you, but they're going to guide you. They're going to connect you, right? Mm-hmm. All right. So use these lines of hope, these lines of help, and they're going to guide you through this. If people want to speak to you or invite you to go out there and speak to maybe a youth group or just, I don't know, how do we reach out? Do we get an email? Do we get a phone number? Or what do we get?
Email is always preferred. So my email is my first and last name at theharriscenter.org. So it would be ariana.mellinger@theharriscenter.org.
How important is it that parents pay attention to what our youth are doing? Right now we have those cell phones and we give it to them and we let them babysit for us, and we almost become a zero factor now in their lives as that cell phone is taking over their lives.
It's imperative to know what's going on in the cell phone. It's imperative to know what their world looks like today, because when you are using internet and forms of different communications, it might look very different. So just checking in with them on what they do post on social media, what they do, what they are saying to their friends and to their loved ones, because sometimes the communication looks very different online.
There it is. Any suggestions, any last words you guys would like to say to the Community Shield audience?
I would just say don't be afraid to call. I mean, even if you're unsure if it's appropriate, we're going to be able to provide you some feedback on what you can do to get somebody the help that they might need, or if you need help. Don't ever be shy to call. It's better to call and just talk to somebody, and it may be that just a conversation is all you need, but it may mean that you would like some more help and you didn't realize that there's some different services out there that you can get.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah. Superstar Sarah. You're all over TV. I see you everywhere. I'm so excited to have you. I'm going to have her on the program. That is cool. All right. And thank you so much for being here too, for offering your testimony. And I hope we get to have you also on another program so we can expand on everything that you've been through, and of course how we can help more youth out there that need so much. We're losing our youth. There's a video out there. Just saw it. It just is chilling. It looks like a 7-8-year-old speaking about. I believe a teacher is asking him on that video, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And he says, "A murderer." And then he goes into elaboration why he wants to be a murderer. He just doesn't say a murderer, but he goes into it as if it was rehearsed, as if he had it all memorized. And again, some of us might say the kid just needs attention. Well,
I mean, sometimes that's a cry for help too.
Yes.
And so listen to anything, listen to it all, and just kind of ask the questions. Don't be afraid to ask the questions and get the help that you might need.
There you go. Ariana, thank you so much. Sarah Strang from the Harris Center. The MCOT response that the Houston Police Department is working together hand in hand with. Again, this is Community Shield with the Houston Police Department. Please share the program. Share it. Thank you to our friends from Now Media, Heraldo Media Group, for allowing this program to air, and to our chief, Troy Fittner, for always trusting in the material that goes on Community Shield. Again, your friend, Officer Jesus Robles, signing off. You guys take care. We'll see you next time, next Wednesday.